I was still on oxygen, I believe. And I incorporated both companies, and I applied that year for the 501(c)(3) for the nonprofit. So it was like almost like I was starting two brand new companies. And what else I want to say is I had my busiest real estate. I'm a real estate broker for almost 20 years. I had my biggest real estate year that year that I almost died. So like I missed 4 months and I still had my biggest year. So it's crazy that how we were blessed in so many ways, even though there was so much, drama and chaos.
Martians landed.
Yes.
Wearing Prada suits.
Yes.
Drinking Henry Seltzer.
Yes.
Chewing juicy fruit.
Yes, and?
Your branding here.
Yes, brand.
Your message here.
Yes, and?
A verse about.
Yes.
Your product here.
Yes.
I'm Hirsch Redfin.
Yes, and?
I'm a message therapist.
Yes.
And I have a podcast.
Yes, brand.
That's right, that's it.
Yes.
We'll help you fix the world.
Yes.
Or your bottom line.
All right.
Your bottom line.
Get it. I get it. Welcome to the Yes Brand Podcast.
In the hot seat today on Yes Brand is Holly Porter, founder of Retreat RnR. And she is also the founder of Holly Porter International, which is her entrepreneurial venture and hub. She's a seasoned philanthropist. She is a beacon of resilience. We will talk about the long COVID journey on this show as well. A 7-day battle with COVID-19, from which she emerged with unwavering determination. She's passionate about wellness. She has a nonprofit dedicated to aiding the long COVID community, and yet she has an infectious joy that really embodies everything she does. Welcome, Holly Porter, to Yes Brand.
Thanks, Hirsch. Happy to be here today.
It's great to have you. Let's actually begin with a little bit about Retreat RnR. It's a booking, hosting, and education site for all things retreats. Yeah. But tell us a little bit about that, and then we'll get into your story.
Oh, sure. Well, I'm super excited about this. I've had 11 startup companies, but this is the one that I feel like I'm going to be the most proud of. It's the end of hopefully startups for me. After that, I just want to be the check writer, right? This is such a needed thing. It's been in the works for about almost 3 years, probably actually 3 years right now, from the concept of when we started working on it. So it's time to get it going. Picture an Airbnb, picture an Eventbrite, a membership site. Everything will be encompassed in what we do for all things retreat. That's why we say that, because really it's a one-stop shop for retreat leaders and also venues. So I can see why it hasn't been done before. There are similarities out there, but not all in one platform. So we're really excited to have that going. And a lot of things changed at the time when we were first getting going. Was just before I did get COVID. And I was going to partner with a company that had a billionaire backing them. So of course we would have been long on our way faster, but I got told when I was in my coma in the hospital not to partner with them. And that shifted everything. And I did get told it would take longer, but it wasn't the right path to go down. And so I'm pretty good at listening.
Yeah.
And I follow that counsel. And so here we are.
Well, you said you got told when you were in a coma. Was it something that one of these kind of more cosmic messages, or was it somebody actually came in and was talking to you and you?
No, I mean, God's my higher power, whatever it is, anyone else, it was my higher power. Yeah, it was a pretty clear message not to go that route. Right.
When you came out of it, you had that clarity. You knew that was not going to happen. Okay. Now is the perfect segue to go back into, because we've talked about it a little bit, what you went through with long COVID.
Oh, sure.
And what your sorry to interrupt you, but I don't want the audience to miss out on what your preconceptions were and your kind of attitudes were prior to that.
Had a bad attitude. I was at a conference with hundreds of people, and it was the fall of 2021, and I caught COVID while I was there. I never thought I was too good to get it. I just was so healthy. I didn't think I would.
Right.
And I came back and I actually did that pitch to that billionaire owner of the company the day I found out I had COVID. I was so sick. And those of you, which a lot of you have that are listening, have had COVID. You know how you felt mostly if you got a bad case. But I got the Delta version and I fought it for about a week before one morning I brought it home to my husband. He was about 2 days behind me. He never got it where he had to be hospitalized, but he did need oxygen. But I don't know how he got us to the hospital, because about 4:30, day 7, I said, we have to go now. Like, I'm in trouble. It literally felt like there was an elephant sitting on my chest. I couldn't breathe. And when I walked in the hospital, my oxygen was 63.
Wow.
He actually pulled me around to the backside of the ER, and I went in. By the time he parked, you know how slow they are in the ERs. By the time he parked and came in, of course, he was slow too because he's sick. He said, they already had you up in the ICU. It was like boom, 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 3 different levels of oxygen. They knew I was in trouble. They wouldn't let him come because he had COVID. So they just checked him out and then sent him back home. And that started day 1 of 70.
Yeah. And so, at what point were you able to start even thinking about your business and what, you had the other business stuff going on at the time. So how did all of that kind of
so interestingly enough, I've always had 3 or 4 companies at a time. My husband was having one of his best years in his concrete construction company. So he had a huge job he was doing. And luckily our boys, we've trained well. They have their own companies too, but they all came and helped and caught him up and things because he had to take so much time to be with me at the hospital. He couldn't come to the hospital for 3.5 weeks because he had COVID and he was so sick. And then they'd sneak him in for a couple hours. That's all he could handle. And then I went up north to another hospital. And so then he had that drive to commute. So and I forgot what your question was. Sorry, that's my long haul stuff.
Right. Well, I was going to ask you how old your boys are.
The boys, yeah. Well, we have 8 children. And
oh my God, I didn't know that. Okay, wow.
So when we got married, we put 4 and 4 together. We each had 2 boys.
Okay.
But they were all teenagers and we had custody of all of them. So at one time we had 7 in the house, but the oldest is almost 41 and the youngest is almost 30. So 8 kids in between that. So they're all adults. They're all
okay. That is crazy. First of all, because I don't know if people who are watching this would look at Holly and not really be able to conceive that she has kids in their 40s. That would not make any sense.
We have 17 grandkids.
that just blows me away. I didn't know that. Well, congratulations.
Thanks.
And somehow you survived having 7 kids in the house at once.
Yeah.
And so in a way, they say God doesn't give us more than we can handle. So maybe that feat of doing the Brady Bunch thing and having those kids in the house and surviving that kind of gave God the idea that you could handle certain.
Well, I'll tell you, when you say that, I remember my prayer of my own prayer in the hospital was, this sucks. And if I'm not going to get better, then get me out of here. Let's go. And so I had out of body experiences. I had a near death experience. I had a spiritual transformational experience. And that was this time, that prayer was the defining moment when I was told it wasn't my time and that I needed to fight. And just to hear that by who said it and how many said it, it was like, okay, got it. This is what I need to do. And that's all I needed to know was that prayer was answered that day. I wasn't going to die. It took a long time. I know what you asked me is how long it took me to get this business
to get back to where you could focus on business was kind of the.
Have I?
Yeah.
I still struggle. Honestly, I have long COVID, so I still struggle. So within the first 3 months, I was also, the other thing I was told to do was start this nonprofit for long COVID. The word long COVID wasn't there because we didn't even know what that was.
Right.
But it was for people, the sufferers of COVID, basically, it was what I knew. And so 3 months after I was out of the hospital, I was still on oxygen, I believe. And I incorporated both companies, and I applied that year for the 501(c)(3 for the nonprofit. So it was like almost like I was starting two brand new companies. And what else I want to say is I had my busiest real estate. I'm a real estate broker for almost 20 years. I had my biggest real estate year that year that I almost died. So like I missed 4 months and I still had my biggest year. So it's crazy that how we were blessed in so many ways, even though there was so much, drama and chaos and
Well, this
crazy.
is interesting to me, and it's funny. I get into a lot of this stuff on my other podcast on Truth Tastes Funny, but because of the entrepreneurial nature of this and because of the new business, it made perfect sense for us to do Yes Brand. Um, but there's always crossover. And in this case, I am really curious about the out of body stuff, the messages, and all of that. I cover that in my book that's coming out, where I haven't had what I would consider to be out near death experiences, thank God, or anything like that. But I have definitely got much more into my consciousness and my awareness of these things. And so, just for a moment, share a little bit about what it was, how it presented itself, because this also speaks to what every entrepreneur, every business person, business owner, regardless of their take on spirituality, they all have to wrestle with: gut instinct,
Yep.
sixth sense, things like that. So tell me a little bit about that with this billionaire
Yeah,
investor
so we
situation.
do all have intuition. It's just whether or not
Intuition,
we're
yeah.
listening. And I had many people, I have a lot of healer friends that told me the same thing. So I knew it wasn't just being said, right? If it,
Right.
when more than one person tells you the same thing. And they would all, a lot of them told me, by the way, my mom had passed away about a year and a half before, that she was on my right side. And I always knew that. And they always said the right side. And I was like, well, cool, because that's where she was for me, right?
Yeah.
But it's crazy how a lot of people said you had to be put in an induced coma, basically put in this situation so you'd stop and sit still and listen. Probably true,
Yeah.
and so let's not recommend that for most people, right? Who wants to be in a coma to get all this information? But
Right.
funny thing was, I didn't even know there were those three different: the out of body, near death, and spiritual transformational experiences. I didn't know there was a difference till literally a year ago. So I knew about near death, but I just didn't understand. But my out of body were, I went back in time. I never went forward in time. I went back in time 165 years ago to a town called Parowan, Utah. And that is where my great, great, great grandfather had built a house that's now a museum in the town. They do tours and they've remodeled it. And I've gone back there, and there was this creepy staircase that some horrible things were at the bottom of it. And I just was like, when I went back there, I was like, oh my gosh, they literally preserved this. Like, it was kind of a little bit of a spiral, but like a cell down to like a cellar, because they were old like pioneer homes and just some crazy things. But I mean, I've done hour shows with people and never been able to tell all the stories. There's so many. But I went, every time I left for my out of body, I don't remember ever not having my bed with me. So
Oh,
subconsciously, I have a book coming out as well. And one of our chapters is called Me in My Bed, because me
yeah.
in my bed, I must have known if I leave my bed, I might not get my body back. So my body's
Mm,
sick, so it can't come. So somehow I must have intuitively known, no, that has to come with me. So my
right.
bed went with me. And the other kind of interesting thing is about the bed. When I had my near death experience, I remember we were going to this, I call it a concert, right? And on our way there, we're all in like a big stadium. All the box offices were the COVID people that were sick. And I think now those were the people that were dying, because half the people in there when I was in the hospital were dying. And I
Hmm.
believe we got the box office because we were in our beds. So my near death experience, I was not in my bed, but I went to it in my bed, which I believe was with all those other people that were dying. Anyway, so that was kind of an interesting how you look back and you start going, oh, this is what was really going on now that my head's a little bit clearer. And anyway.
Right, right. So now we have some background on, what you went through. What was it like when you finally did get back to, okay, now I'm gonna launch this, I'm gonna do this Retreat RnR, I'm gonna launch it. What were the steps you took now that you knew that you were not getting this backing?
Yeah. To start it, you mean?
Yeah,
Wow. Well, all right. Like I mentioned, I had had 11 startup companies, counting this one, but I'd never had anything in tech. And tech is like learning a new language. Your entrepreneurs have a tech, your corporate have a tech, real estate has its, I mean, not tech, language.
right,
Place all that with
right.
language. Well, tech has its own language. And so I feel like I've almost been going back to school. And I got the idea a couple years ago. So like 5 years ago, I got the idea originally and it just parked. And then when this group that I wanted to partner with, they came out with this goal to have 10,000 tech companies to market in 10 years. And I thought, oh my gosh, I want to be part of that. I need to think of a tech idea. It's interesting how you tell yourself something and you can manifest it. You can create it. And then I remembered the idea. So the original idea was just to create like an Airbnb, VRBO, but for retreats and venues.
Right.
And then now when I remembered it, I evolved it into a one-stop platform for everything. Retreat leaders it's so broad, right? It can be anything,
Yeah.
corporate wellness, it can be yoga, men's retreats, women retreats, wellness retreats, you name it. There's just such a long list, and travel's not going away. The industry is a $93 billion industry just for this piece of.
Wow.
So I feel like this company should be able to get a billion of that. If Airbnb is at 9.73 billion after less than 15 years, I'm thinking, why not? And I don't know. It's been interesting to know that, like, I never could have told you before I got sick the real why. Like, I remember laying there in the bed thinking, is this it for me? Not just, are you going to get me out of here or am I going
Yeah.
to die? Is this it? Did I do enough? Was I enough? What kind of a legacy did I really leave? It's those thoughts as you're laying there. And so after I get saved, I mean, because I had sepsis in there, I was intubated 2 times, I had a trach, I had all kinds of things going on that would have taken me out, any one of them. And here I am. So I don't want to waste a day. So it was more like, nobody knows how much time we have left. What can I do with what I've been given? And I've had a lot of obstacles the last 3 years. Let me tell you, more than in my whole life. I had some family instances that were worse than divorces and worse than anything put together times 10 that I had ever been through. And I thought, gosh, take someone's heart out. I mean, I live to get my heart broken by family situations. And you would think everybody, oh, they love you. They want, you almost died. And they would gravitate to you, and they didn't. They pushed me away. It was the craziest thing I've ever experienced. I look back now, I know why. It's like when you look back, you start realizing, I know now why I didn't partner with the tech company that I was going to partner with. I know now why this incident happened with some grandkids, for instance, because part of my why is that legacy I'm going to leave is to build this company, scale this company, sell this company, and then be the check writer of philanthropy on all these projects. And I wouldn't have probably been motivated to do some of the projects I want to do if those situations wouldn't have happened. That makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah, it does. It totally makes sense.
So
It totally makes sense. And
yeah.
yeah, and it's the clarity that you need to power through that stuff.
And it becomes a calling at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So let me ask you another detail about Retreat RnR,
Okay.
the education aspect.
Yeah.
What can people learn about the retreat business and about planning their retreats from the site?
Yes. Well, it's shifting a little bit, so I don't want to say too much because I'm not sure the original plan is going to be what we go forward with. What I can tell you is the membership will have an expert list that anybody will be able to go and see, but only ones that can be on it are part of the members. So we're looking for the 100 founding members. There'll be education on there. So if you're a newbie or you want to hone in on your skills, there'll be classes that you can take. There'll be trainings. There'll be retreats that you can go learn how to do retreats. I'm really big on customer service. So we have a concierge that can do everything from help you for a day, boots on the ground, to soup to nuts, everything inclusive, do you the retreat for you. You just show up with your people, and you do what you want to do there, but we run everything. We do all the logistics. So there's a lot of people like that. They have that fear. They have a tribe of people, but they don't know what to do with them. They're like, oh, it'd be a great way to do retreats. There's speakers that, oh my gosh, don't start a new company. I teach people multiple streams of income, and it's added to what you're already doing. Don't start a new business, just add it as a stream to sell your high ticket items, whatever.
Yeah.
So many things we can teach them. So that's kind of, without saying everything. There was a lot
Yeah.
more to it, but I'm not sure we're going to go that route at this point.
Yeah, but there's a lot of potential. There's
Yeah.
definitely a lot of potential. And I know from, other consultants, coaches, speakers, the retreat thing coming out of COVID, having now the ability to bring people to a new locale, people are still doing plenty of Zoom events and plenty of offsite events, but I think that there's some special bonding opportunity when people are doing in-person retreats and are getting out of their look, even just getting out of my studio or my office and walking around the block is
Mhm.
a shift in my mindset. So, one can only imagine when you plan something that's a little bit different, there's so much potential there.
Yeah.
Now, how much does as your story is so inspiring and infectious in a good way, and it's like, how much does that play into your own, like it's doing it here, doing podcasts and telling your story and so forth, but how much is your personal brand intertwined with the Retreat RnR?
Yeah. Well, because I personally train people how to do retreats, and I personally have done, many, many events and retreats. I've done live events, I've done summit events. So events has just kind of been my thing. So it just fits. I'm just focused more now on retreats. Like that's who I want to work with. I've coached for years, entrepreneurship, top business, things like that. I love helping people from the ground up and building. My mom was an interior designer, and so I always helped her, and that's what we liked. We liked working with people from, like, on a house, from literally the plans to the decor, right? Just start to finish. And I just think it's fun to see progress. And I love when people get excited about something that's new. I work with people really quickly. To me, when I've coached people, I don't want these year-long contracts. I usually 6 months, 90 days to 6 months is my sweet spot, because I feel like if I can't help you, if you're an action taker, then we're going to get stuff done. But if you're a lollygagger, I'm kind of married to one of those. Bless his heart, best guy on the planet. But opposites attract, and
Right, right.
totally opposite of me. So he don't want to be in my head, he said.
Right. No, it's very true. I relate to that. I understand. We're, my wife and I we're on two different speeds in
Yes.
when it comes to work, when it comes to, that kind of stuff. And so, like, we always marvel at how couples can work together. Some couples can run a business together. We would just never, it would never work that way,
Yeah.
but so as far as I like to kind of circle back around and let my guest impart some wisdom and insight to the audience. So if you're speaking to people who some of the listeners are probably starting their entrepreneurial careers or their startup experience. Others are doing it, for like in your case where it becomes a serial pursuit. But first of all, let the audience know where to find you, and then close us out with something that you want to share about this startup experience.
Yeah. Well, all right. You can find me all social media, Holly Porter. Um, and my email is holly@hollyporter.com. Website, hollyporterinternational.com. But you can also get there from hollyporter.com. So yeah, I'd love to hear feedback. I love when I hear people heard or found me here or there, because that's exciting for me, right? Um, it's just nice to be able to see people take action, I think. And what was the second part of the question?
Second part was just a kind of a parting word of advice for people who are in the startup
Yeah.
phase.
Well, okay, the message I came back with from my near-death experience, very, very clear. Love them where they're at. So it wasn't just about loving people, loving them where they're at. And that is huge if you think about it. It will take all judgment out. Just think that next time you have that thought or that anger towards somebody, what if I just loved them where they're at?
All right.
If you liked the show,
Yes, and
it worked for you,
yes, then
subscribe and leave a
yes, friend.
5-star review.
Yes, friend.
Tell all your friends.
Yes, friend.
Get your branding here.
Yes, friend.
Get your branding here.
Yes, friend.
Did I make it clear?
Yes, friend.
Get your branding on.